After 6 years working overseas, I thought coming home would feel like a celebration. I imagined Lena running into my arms, our daughter Nina maybe a little shy but curious. I pictured warmth, reunion, a sense of home. Instead, I walked into the sound of Lena on the phone with her lawyer. "Evan's coming back today," she said. Her voice was tight, but not cold, just exhausted. "I want a divorce. We've been married 6.5 years, and for 6 of them, he hasn't been home. There's no relationship left. I've done everything, inside this house and out. It's always been me, holding it all together. He got to live his life out there, free, while I was stuck surviving. You know what it's like raising a newborn alone? He doesn't. If it weren't for Nina, I would have given up a long time ago." I stood in the hallway, letting every word sink in. My chest tightened with a mess of emotions I couldn't untangle: guilt, regret, anger, grief. When the company was expanding into Canada, they needed someone to lead the new operations. It was a brutal assignment: long hours, unpredictable risks, high stress. But the pay was excellent, and almost no one wanted it. I volunteered. I thought I was doing the right thing. Lena was pregnant back then, and I wanted to make sure our child would never lack anything. Every month, after covering my bare living expenses, I wired the rest of my salary directly into Lena's account. I never missed a transfer. Still, I missed everything else. I wasn't there when our daughter was born. I wasn't there for her first steps, her first words. I wasn't there when Lena needed a partner, a hand to hold, or someone to talk to at the end of a long day. I pushed the door open and stepped into the room. Lena spun around, startled. Her phone was still in her hand. She hung up quickly, then tried to smile, but it came out more like a wince. "You're home," she said flatly. I nodded. "You've done so much these past years. It's my turn now. Let me take care of everything." She gave a strained little laugh, the kind that trembles on the edge of breaking. I looked around. "Where's Nina? Still at school? I'll go pick her up." "Don't," she said quickly. "She's still really young. She barely remembers people, she probably won't recognize you." I smiled anyway. "That's okay. We'll fix that. The second time always goes smoother." I grabbed my keys and headed for the door, already imagining what it would be like to finally see my daughter. Behind me, I didn't notice the way Lena fumbled with her phone, her hands shaking as she texted someone, fast and panicked. At the school gates, I spotted Nina playing in a cluster of children, her laughter ringing through the air. My daughter. Just seeing her carefree smile made something warm flicker in my chest, like I'd finally come home. "Nina!" I called out. She turned, confused, her brows furrowing as her gaze landed on me. I gave her a big smile. "It's Daddy. Daddy's back from overseas. From now on, I'll be picking you up, okay?" I expected wonder. Maybe even joy. I thought she'd run toward me with open arms, or at least a shy smile. But instead, her face changed. She blinked once, and then burst into tears. "Wah! Bad Daddy. Bad Daddy came back." Her scream pierced the quiet, and like a domino effect, other children around her started wailing too. It was still early, and only a few parents were there, but even so, I felt their eyes on me, sharp, suspicious, judging. I rushed forward, trying to pick Nina up in my arms. Hey, sweetheart, it's okay. I know Daddy wasn't around before, but I'm home now. I'm not going anywhere." She didn't calm down. In fact, she flailed harder, smacking at my face with tiny fists, yanking at my hair, even tugging painfully on my ears. "No. No." Around me, I could hear murmurs. "Excuse me, are you really her father? Why doesn't she recognize you?" I've picked up my kid here for months. Never seen this guy before. Is he even on the pickup list? The words stung more than Nina's fists. I tried to hold it together, swallowing the heat rising in my face. I've been working abroad these past few years. In Canada. She's just not used to me. I'm sorry. But Nina kept fighting me, her legs kicking wildly, nearly slipping out of my arms. I set her down quickly, crouching to her level and trying to soothe her. Nina, sweetie, let's go home with Daddy, okay? We can stop for ice cream or... She cut me off with a shout that froze me in place. He's not my daddy. He has another kid. He's bad. Bad. Everything around me went still. My face must have gone white. Nina, what are you talking about? Daddy doesn't have another child. Where did you hear that? The other parents had gone silent, but their eyes said everything. Their stares weren't just suspicious now, they were filled with pity, with quiet condemnation. Whispers started to circulate like wildfire. My pulse raced. I crouched lower, trying to hold her hand, to reconnect. Nina, Daddy was just working really hard, okay? I've been away but never stopped loving you. There's no other kid. How about Daddy takes you to the amusement park tomorrow, yeah? But Nina just cried harder. Her little cheeks were soaked with tears. She looked devastated, and I didn't know how to reach her. That's when Ms. Bailey, one of the school staff, stepped in. Her expression was tight, polite, but clearly uneasy. Sir, she said carefully, Nina might be more comfortable seeing someone familiar. Maybe, it would be better if her mother came to pick her up today? I nodded, humiliated, already reaching for my phone to call Lena. But before I could press a single button, I heard a sharp gasp behind me. Nina, what happened? Lena rushed through the crowd, panic all over her face. She dropped to her knees and wrapped Nina tightly in her arms. Nina, baby, it's okay. Mommy's here. Mommy's got you, she whispered, stroking Nina's hair. You're safe now. It's okay. Her voice cracked with tears. She wasn't acting. She was crying, real, quiet, devastated sobs. And just like that, the whispers around us grew louder. A nearby parent stepped forward, frowning at Lena. This man says he's Nina's father. Is that true? Another chimed in, arms crossed, voice sharp. Nina cried the moment she saw him. He doesn't seem like a safe person. Are you sure he's not a stranger? You need to be careful. My heart skipped. I turned to Lena, waiting, praying, for her to say something reassuring. She looked at me briefly, eyes flickering with something I couldn't quite name. Then she looked down and said softly, no, he's my husband. He's Nina's father. A murmur spread through the small crowd. But, she added, he's been gone for 6 years. Didn't come home once. Never called. Never asked about Nina. She doesn't remember him, how could she? Then she looked up again, tears brimming in her eyes. Evan, she's just a child. You shouldn't have abandoned her like that. My mouth went dry. Abandoned? What was she talking about? I never stopped thinking about Nina, not once. I worked day and night to send money home. I gave up everything to make sure they had more than enough. And yet, around us, the crowd erupted. Oh God, it's him. I thought he looked familiar, he's that guy who bailed after getting his wife pregnant. I heard he took off as soon as Lena was expecting. Left her to raise that little girl all on her own. Ms. Hart's been through hell. Paying the mortgage by herself, buying vitamins and school supplies on one income. She even opened that little shop just to survive. And now he shows up, one woman sneered. Let me guess, he wants custody now that the kid's almost in school and doesn't need diapers. What a snake. Voices piled on, louder and louder, until I could barely hear myself think. Custody? What the hell were they talking about? I wired $20,000 every month. Was that not enough? I wasn't some deadbeat looking to snatch a kid out of convenience. I was her father. This was supposed to be a reunion. A beginning. I stepped forward, trying to find Lena's eyes. Lena, what are they talking about? You know I. But she cut me off before I could finish. Everyone, she said, voice tremulous, I really appreciate your concern. But I think I need to go with him, we have some things to discuss privately. Her words were calm, but her eyes glistened with what looked like defeat. And that was all it took. No way. We're coming with you, one woman declared, hands on hips. You don't know what this man is capable of. She's right. You can't trust someone who disappears for 6 years and then shows up out of nowhere claiming rights. What if he tries to take Nina away? Yeah. We'll walk with you. He's not laying a finger on that child without going through us first. I stood there, silent in the middle of the chaos, feeling like I had stepped into a version of my life that had gone horribly wrong. These people, strangers, were ready to fight me. For a daughter I'd never stopped loving. For a family I thought I was protecting. And yet all I felt in that moment was how deeply foreign everything around me had become. Why was all this anger pointed at me? What did I do? Lena had said we needed to handle a family matter, but what family matter? What did she mean? For 6 years, I worked my ass off overseas, eating cheap takeout, living in a shoebox of an apartment, just so I could send money home. I gave them everything I had. So why was I the one standing here like a criminal? My head was spinning, thoughts running in slow, heavy loops. I could barely process what was happening, couldn't form words, couldn't move. All I could do was stand there like some idiot, watching Lena play her part in this quiet tragedy, arms wrapped protectively around our daughter, eyes void of warmth, offering not one word in my defense. Then a man stepped out from the circle of angry parents. His face was flushed, jaw clenched, and he shoved me hard in the chest. If you were any kind of man, you'd walk away right now and never show your face again, he snapped. You come around here again, I'll make sure you regret it. More people crowded in, faces twisted with disgust. Their hatred was thick in the air. No one was listening. No one wanted to. And through the sea of judgment, Lena just stood there, still holding Nina, still watching me. Her expression was icy, distant. Not a flicker of guilt. Not even a twitch of hesitation. That was the moment it hit me. Something was very wrong. If I didn't see it now, I was a damn fool. Please, I said, raising my voice. Listen to me. This is all a huge misunderstanding. I was on assignment overseas, company orders. I never abandoned my family. I transferred money back home every single month. I never stopped taking care of them. One woman stepped forward, her voice shaking with rage. Transferred money? You think that's enough? A couple $100 a month and you think you're off the hook? That's not parenting. Exactly, another woman spat. Do you even know how expensive it is to raise a kid these days? Meanwhile, you're out there living easy. I shook my head, trying to hold on to the facts. No, I wasn't living easy. And it wasn't a few $100s. I sent $20,000. Every month. The crowd scoffed as if I'd told them I could fly. 20 grand, a man snorted. Are you serious? If you'd really sent that kind of money, why would Ms. Hart be busting her back every day just to keep a little store running? Yeah, I've seen her at dawn, hauling boxes into her shop, just to make a few extra bucks on the margins. You're telling me she did all that with $20,000 a month in the bank? Don't insult our intelligence. Quit lying, someone else snapped. You're just another deadbeat making up numbers. I could feel my blood boiling. My voice rose. Lena. I shouted, desperate. Say something. Tell them the truth. Didn't I send you that money? Every damn month, where did it go? She turned away from me, deliberately, silently. Lena. My voice cracked. Stop pretending you didn't hear me. Where's the money, Lena? Tell them. But I'd crossed a line. The man who had shoved me before stepped up again, fists clenched. That's enough. You threatening her now? Right in front of us? Yeah, someone else growled. You lay one hand on her and you'll be leaving in an ambulance. The crowd pressed in tighter. I couldn't even see Lena anymore. Just a wall of strangers ready to tear me apart. My heart was pounding. My fists were clenched at my sides. But I knew there was nothing left to say. So I turned and walked away. Burning with fury. And utterly alone. They had to come home eventually, right? That's what I told myself. Again and again. So I waited. I stayed on the couch, lights off, eyes fixed on the door, expecting at any moment to hear the jingle of keys, the creak of the lock, Nina's footsteps running in. But evening fell. Then night. And then the gray light of dawn stretched through the window, casting long shadows across my face. I was still there. Still waiting. The morning chill had crept in through the floorboards. I shivered, only now realizing I'd been sitting in the exact same position for nearly 14 hours. My body ached. My neck was stiff. My hands were cold. But Lena and Nina hadn't come home. Where were they? Had she gone to her store? I didn't even know where it was. She'd never told me. I'd never thought to ask. I thought I'd have time to figure it all out once I was home. I used to picture this reunion. I imagined Lena with tears in her eyes, smiling through them. Nina maybe shy at first, but eventually throwing her arms around my neck. I would have taken anything, even if Lena had said she wanted a divorce. I would have accepted it, taken the blame. I hadn't been here. I understood that. But I thought I still had time to make it right. And Nina, my daughter, I'd never even held her in my arms until yesterday. Yet my love for her was real. Fierce. Unquestionable. So why did she scream that I had another family out there? Where would she even get that idea? My thoughts spiraled, tight, frantic, no way out. Then my phone buzzed. It was Mr. Monroe. My manager. Mr. Barrett, he said in his usual clipped, professional tone. You're scheduled to come in today for the final handover. Don't forget. I opened my mouth, but only managed 2 words. Yes, sir. That was all it took for him to pick up on something. You sound off. Something happen? I hesitated. The silence on the line stretched, but he didn't hang up. Eventually, I told him everything. Not just the surface-level version, but all of it. The school incident, the crowd, Lena's silence. Nina's words. My confusion. My hurt. When I finally finished, Monroe was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. Mr. Barrett, he said gently, children repeat what they hear. That little girl didn't make up those words on her own. My heart stilled. What are you saying? He exhaled. Not judgmentally, just carefully. I'm saying, it's hard to accuse a child of lying when she's clearly just echoing something. And people, grown-ups, don't usually invent lies about things they've never experienced. A beat of silence. Then he added, if Lena's the one who told her that, then there's a very real chance she's been seeing someone else. And for a while. The air in the room shifted. Even though part of me had already suspected it, hearing him say it out loud, calmly, logically, made something in my brain short-circuit. My ears rang. My skin went cold. The possibility had always lingered at the edge of my mind. But now it felt like a stone dropping straight through my chest. Mr. Monroe's voice cut back in just as my thoughts started spiraling again. "Barrett," he said, calm but firm. "Now's not the time to get sentimental. She's talking divorce? Then it's already in motion. Which means there's going to be a split, property, custody, maybe both. You need to check that house. Look for anything, documents, inconsistencies, signs she's been planning this for a while." I hesitated. "You think it's really that final? That there's no way to fix this?" He sighed. "When a woman's done, really done, she doesn't leave room for redemption. No matter how long you've been gone, how hard you worked. I've seen it before." There was a pause. Then his voice dropped lower. "You're not the first guy to come home from overseas and find out the ground's shifted. A couple of our other reps came back to the same mess. Some tried to play nice, give the benefit of the doubt. Know what they walked away with? Nothing. No house, no money, no kids. Just regret." Click. The line went dead. I sat there for a long time after, staring at nothing. Everything in me resisted the idea. Snooping? Digging through my own house like some stranger? Was this what things had come to? But eventually, I stood. I opened drawers. Cabinets. Closets. Most of it was ordinary: clothes, toys, some unpaid bills. There was no cologne that wasn't mine, no strange toothbrush in the bathroom, no telltale shirt draped over a chair. It looked normal. Like a home. But that only made the whole thing feel more sinister. Because somewhere beneath the surface, I knew something wasn't right. Then I saw the laptop. It was tucked beneath a stack of magazines on the shelf. A slim, silver notebook I'd never seen before. Definitely not mine. I opened it. The screen blinked on. Login required. 6-digit passcode. I frowned. First instinct: Lena's birthday. Denied. Nina's birthday? Still no. I stared at the prompt, then typed in my own birth date, hands trembling slightly. Wrong again. That didn't make sense. If it wasn't about her, our daughter, or me, then what was it? I rubbed my temples. My brain was foggy after staying up all night. I could barely focus, but I forced myself to think. Any other dates? Anniversaries? First ultrasound? Her parents' birthdays? I tried everything I could remember. All wrong. I was about to give up when my eyes drifted to the number pad. Certain keys, just a few of them, were noticeably worn down. Their surface slightly shinier than the rest. I leaned in closer. 9. 5. 0. 3. 2. 9. I grabbed a pen and jotted them down, running permutations. Tried one. Wrong. Tried another. Still wrong. Then, on my third attempt, 950329. The screen blinked. Unlocked. I sat frozen for a beat, staring. Same year as Lena. But not her birthday. Whose, then? I didn't have time to dig into that. My hands moved on instinct, double-clicking icons, scanning folders. There it was. A document on the desktop, clearly labeled, divorce petition. And another, right beneath it, correspondence, attorney letterhead. My chest tightened. There it was. The plan. Written out. Formalized. Legal. She hadn't just considered it. She hadn't just said it in a moment of emotion. She'd been preparing. I clicked open the document. And the moment the words filled the screen, it felt like ice water poured straight down my spine. 1. Custody and child support. 2. The plaintiff, Lena Hart, respectfully requests that the court grant her sole physical and legal custody of the minor child, Nina Hart. The defendant, Evan Barrett, shall pay monthly child support in the amount of $15,000 until the minor reaches the legal age of majority. All medical, educational, and extracurricular expenses shall be borne separately and additionally by both parties. 1. Division of property and debt. 2. The plaintiff requests the court grant her full ownership of the marital residence. There are no joint savings or financial assets to be divided. The total marital debt amounts to approximately $300,000, to be split equally between the parties. 1. Grounds for divorce. 2. The marriage has irretrievably broken down. The parties have been separated for over 6 years. During this time, the minor child has lived exclusively with the plaintiff. The defendant has demonstrated a persistent lack of familial responsibility, neglecting both his role as a spouse and as a father. The plaintiff has endured continuous emotional abandonment and disregard. 1. Visitation rights. 2. Given the defendant's prolonged absence and lack of meaningful relationship with the child, the plaintiff respectfully requests that the court deny the defendant any rights to visitation or contact with Nina Hart following the divorce. I sat back in the chair. My eyes were still locked on the screen, but my mind had gone blank. These were just words. I knew every word on that page. Individually, I understood them all. But strung together like that, they made no sense. None. No joint savings. I had wired over $1.4 million to this house over 6 years. Every month. No vacations. No luxuries. Just work, transfer, repeat. Where the hell had it all gone? $300,000 in debt? When? How? I thought she was running a store. What kind of store runs up that kind of debt? 15 grand a month in child support? After the marriage? My overseas posting had ended. My salary was a fraction of what it used to be. She knew that. This wasn't just a divorce. It was an execution. And the worst part, the part that made my fingers tremble and my skin feel raw. She was asking the court to ban me from ever seeing my daughter again. No visitation. No contact. Like I was a threat. Like I didn't exist. I stared at the page, my chest tight, stomach twisting into knots. My hands were shaking, but I didn't know if it was from the cold, the fatigue, or just the sheer rage rising in my throat. I hadn't even raised my voice at Lena before yesterday. I hadn't even gotten to hold my daughter long enough for her to remember my face. And now they wanted to write me out like I was some stranger. Like I'd never been a part of this family. I couldn't think anymore. Couldn't breathe. That's when I heard it, the soft metallic click of a key turning in the lock. The door opened. And in stepped Lena. I moved on instinct. As soon as I heard the key in the lock, I uploaded the files to my cloud drive, slammed the laptop shut, and yanked the power cable out. The paper with the password, I crumpled it in my palm and stuffed it deep into my pocket. By the time Lena stepped through the door, my face was neutral. But my chest was still burning. She froze when she saw me, her expression tightening. "What the hell are you still doing here?" she snapped, her voice sharp as broken glass. I stood slowly, staring at her. Part of me wanted to scream. The other part, God help me, was still hoping this was a misunderstanding. "This is my house," I said, barely keeping my voice steady. "You didn't come home last night. Where were you?" Lena scoffed, pulling her coat off with an exaggerated roll of her eyes. "Out getting inventory. Or did you think the store restocks itself?" Store. My mind immediately flashed back to the documents. The $300,000 in debt. Suddenly it all clicked. The loans. The long hours. The exhaustion on her face. She went into debt to build her store. I took a breath and asked the one question I hadn't wanted to say out loud. Are you trying to divorce me? She hesitated, a flicker of surprise, then let out a sharp, bitter laugh. What, you finally figured it out? Lena. She cut me off with a glare. You disappeared for years. Years, Evan. You left me to do everything. And then the one day you decide to show up, you traumatize our daughter in front of half the school. Tell me, what kind of father does that? I clenched my fists. That day, she had let me walk into that chaos. She had stood there and said nothing while strangers called me a monster. I sent money. Every month. You know that. Don't you dare say I didn't contribute. Oh, right. Money. She gave a mocking shrug. Because wiring money makes you a father now? Because a few zeros in a bank account are supposed to make up for the fact that Nina grew up thinking her dad didn't want her? She stepped closer, eyes cold. Or maybe you think just because you paid the bills, you're entitled to control us? To own us? Is that why you yanked her around at school? Is that your excuse for making her cry in front of everyone? I felt the rage rise in my throat. Her logic was airtight. Calculated. And completely twisted. She was rewriting the story, turning 6 years of sacrifice into neglect, fatherhood into abuse, love into leverage. I bit down hard, forcing myself to stay calm. I know I wasn't here. And I know that hurt you. But Lena, I'm back now. No more overseas jobs. No more distance. I'll stay. I'll be present. With you, with Nina. Can we just try to fix this? Lena looked at me like I'd suggested we raise the dead. Now? Now you want to try? After everything? She shook her head, stepping back, arms crossed. No, Evan. I'm done. I want a divorce. Full custody. You pay support. You do not see Nina without my permission. Ever. I froze. Those words weren't spontaneous. They weren't emotional. They were rehearsed. They were exactly what the document said. Word for word. I could feel the heat rushing up my neck, my fists trembling again. You already filed, I said quietly. She didn't answer. You're really doing this, I continued, my voice now rising. After everything I gave up, you're going to cut me out of my daughter's life completely? Still silence. The only sound in the room was the blood pounding in my ears. Then I snapped. You want child support? Fine. You want the house? Take it. But you don't get to erase me like I was never here. You don't get to take my daughter away from me. Lena's expression didn't flinch. That's where you're wrong, she said coolly. Because legally? I already have. I stared at her, my voice low and sharp. Then tell me something, Lena. Why does our daughter have your last name? Her expression flickered. Barely a second, but enough. She recovered quickly, folding her arms. What kind of question is that? Of course she has your name. I stepped closer, eyes locked on hers. Really? Then show me her birth certificate. That did it. The color drained from her face. Why the hell are you bringing that up now? She snapped. You're just trying to pick a fight. You want to make things harder than they already are. Fine. Do it. But don't think for a second that Nina and I are afraid of you. Her voice rose with every word, but I wasn't listening anymore. My head was pounding, every alarm bell going off at once. Why not just show me? If she had nothing to hide, she could have ended this with a piece of paper. Instead, she deflected. Avoided. Got angry. Which meant one thing: there was something in that document she didn't want me to see. And I had a feeling it was bigger than just a surname. Still, she wasn't done. So what if she does have my last name? She barked. It's legal. The law says a child can take either parent's surname. What, you think just because she doesn't share yours, she's not your daughter? That you can back out of raising her? Of paying child support? I almost laughed from the absurdity. Oh, I see. So this is how it's going to be. You are set on divorcing me, aren't you? Lena didn't blink. I am. And it's within my rights. I took a breath. The room felt suddenly colder. Then tell me why I should hand over custody. Why do you get to decide everything? I'm her father. I have rights, too. Her eyes narrowed. You want to go there? Fine. That's not up to you. We'll settle this in court. And with that, she brushed past me. She didn't even try to hide it, walked straight to the table, grabbed the laptop, and tucked it under her arm. Of course. That's why she came back. Good thing I'd already uploaded everything to the cloud. As soon as she stormed out the door, I grabbed my phone and downloaded the files again, this time making sure they were saved offline. I wasn't losing them. But I needed more than a document. I needed proof. I needed to find that birth certificate. I tore through the house, thinking back. There was a box, somewhere in the master closet. A lockbox where we used to keep important papers. I opened the closet, yanked down 2 suitcases, a stack of blankets, then there it was. A black metal box, about the size of a shoebox. Locked. No key in sight. I didn't care. I gripped the flimsy padlock, twisted hard. It snapped with a metallic crack. My hands were shaking as I opened the lid. Inside, passports, tax forms, school records, and there, tucked in the middle, a pale blue certificate. Nina's birth certificate. I took one look, and everything in me went still. I unfolded the birth certificate with unsteady hands, scanning quickly for what I already feared. Name, Nina Hart. Mother, Lena Hart. Father, field left blank. My stomach dropped. Even though I'd braced myself for the worst, another man's name, some stranger inserted into my family's story, what I got was somehow worse. Nothing. Just a blank space. No name. No mention. No trace of me at all. I sat back on the floor, gripping the certificate so tightly it crumpled at the edges. What the hell was Lena playing at? If Nina was my child, why leave that field blank? Was it strategic? Some legal loophole to block me from ever claiming custody? And if she wasn't mine? Then why wasn't there someone else listed? Why no father? That blank space was a wall. It gave me no foothold to argue, no one to investigate. Lena had erased the truth, whether it was about me or someone else. I couldn't prove anything. Not without more. Still in a fog, I snapped a quick photo of the certificate, shaky, but clear enough to serve as evidence. Then I put everything back exactly as I'd found it. Lid closed. Box hidden. Lock replaced. But the pressure in my chest didn't fade. It only grew tighter. There was a truth just inches out of reach, like a door I couldn't quite push open. I needed confirmation. I needed a DNA test. I needed to know, once and for all, whether the little girl who called me Bad Daddy was really mine. But after yesterday's disaster at the school, I had no illusions. Lena had likely already spoken with Ms. Bailey. Probably warned her to keep an eye out. To make sure I didn't cause trouble. Still, I had to try. When I arrived at the school, I spotted Nina at the playground. The moment she saw me, her face scrunched. Her mouth dropped open. And then. Wah! Bad daddy. Another crying fit. Great. Ms. Bailey came rushing over, trying to soothe her. She turned to me with a tight, professional smile. Mr. Barrett, we understand you're Nina's father, but given how upset she is, maybe. I cut her off with a smile. Don't worry. I'm not here to cause trouble. I promised her a trip to the amusement park. We made plans. Right, Nina? I looked down at my daughter. Tears still clung to her cheeks, but she stopped crying. She blinked up at me, suspicious. Really? I nodded. Really? You can pick anything you want. Daddy will buy it for you. Her eyes softened. She sniffled. Her little hand reached for mine. That face, still so unfamiliar to me, and yet so innocent. So open. If she was mine, I'd give her the world. If she wasn't, I'd still need to know. Ms. Bailey hesitated, then nodded. Just, have her back by dismissal. Please. Of course, I said, scooping Nina into my arms. As I walked out, I pulled out my phone and texted Monroe. Need to take personal day. We'll explain later. No turning back now. Monroe didn't ask questions. Once I said it was a family matter, he approved the day off on the spot. Handle what you need to, he said. No lectures. No follow-up. Just trust. I put my phone away. In the back seat, Nina looked up at me with curious, tear-dried eyes. Bad daddy, where are we going now? I smiled. We're gonna do a quick little checkup, just a small pinch, like a mosquito bite, and then? We're off to the amusement park. All day. You can have anything you want. Cotton candy. Ice cream. Chicken legs as big as your head. She lit up at that. The worry on her face faded instantly, replaced by the wide-eyed glee only a child can conjure. Blood tests meant nothing to her. Just a pause before the real magic. At the clinic, she sat on the exam table kicking her feet, cheeks puffed out in mild annoyance. When the needle went in, she sniffled, blinked twice, and let a couple tears slide down, but said nothing. The technician didn't flinch. He moved with clinical efficiency, face unreadable. He labeled the vials, bagged the samples, and gave me a curt nod. You'll get the results in 3 business days. FedEx. I thanked him and walked out, holding Nina's hand tight. She barely remembered the needle. She was already looking ahead. And I kept my promise. I gave her the day of her life. VIP passes. No lines. No waiting. Everything she pointed at, I bought: balloons, popcorn, spinning light-up toys. We skipped the rides with height limits, but everything else? We did it all. The carousel. The teacups. The indoor snow room. The boat ride with fake pirates. She laughed. She screamed with joy. She threw up once from too much cotton candy, and I held her, cleaned her up, bought her another shirt, and never stopped smiling. Because no matter what that test said. For 6 years, I had gotten through lonely, dangerous nights in Canada by listening to her babble over video calls. Watching her chubby little face on a cracked screen was the only thing that made me feel human. Without her, I wouldn't have made it. And now, even with this storm above our heads, that love was still there. So I spent like it was the last time. Because it might be. By sunset, we were in the Ferris wheel, rising above the city. The sky had turned amber. Clouds were streaked with gold. I looked over at her, cheeks flushed, cotton candy on her chin. She was staring out the glass, quiet. Not bored. Not tired. Just something else. You okay? I asked. After this, we'll go home. Did you have fun today? She nodded. Then, slowly, shook her head. My smile faltered. What is it? I asked gently. Something make you sad? She pouted, lips trembling just a bit, and stared at the sky. I leaned closer, soft. Hey. I haven't seen you in a long time. I don't always know what you like. But if I messed something up, you can tell me, okay? I'll do better. I promise. She sniffled. Then, finally, she whispered. I wanted to come with my good daddy. She looked up at me, eyes full of innocent hurt. Not with bad daddy. Her words hit me like a thunderclap. Good daddy. What good daddy? I froze, heart hammering, then crouched down until I was eye level with Nina. My voice came out steady, but the storm inside me was anything but. Nina, sweetheart, who's the good daddy? She blinked at me, then quickly shook her head. Mama said I'm not allowed to tell. That was it. That was as close to a confession as I was ever going to get. My hands trembled. Rage rose up like bile, but not at her. Never at her. I just let the moment slip by without recording. No evidence. No proof. Just words, floating into the wind. And then, buzz, my phone lit up. Lena. I answered. Her voice exploded out of the speaker. Why the hell did you take Nina from school? Are you insane? Do you know that's kidnapping? I could have called the cops on you. I kept my voice eerily calm. I'm bringing her home. Be there. Click. No room for negotiation. We rode home in silence. I flagged a cab and held Nina in my arms the whole ride. Maybe it was my expression, or maybe even she sensed something was different. Either way, she didn't say a word. Just leaned against me, small and warm and quiet. By the time we reached the house, the sky had gone gray. Lena was already waiting by the front door, arms crossed, fury written all over her face. The moment I stepped inside, she pounced. I told you this morning, you're not getting custody. And your first response is to run off and steal the child? What is wrong with you? You think this helps your case? She was trying to get ahead of it. Loud. Aggressive. Hoping to bury me before I could speak. But not this time. I laughed, sharp, bitter, without humor. Funny. Because Nina told me something very interesting today. She stiffened. She said she has another good daddy. My eyes bore into hers. Any thoughts on that? Lena blinked. Then shrugged, too quickly. I don't know what she's talking about. Really? You don't know? I stepped closer. Okay then. Let's try something simpler. Why the hell is the father's name missing on her birth certificate? Her eyes darted away. I gave birth alone, she snapped. No one was there. So I put down my name. End of story. Don't lie to me. Her gaze faltered for the briefest second. Then her voice rose again, defensive and fast. It's legal. I'm the mother. I signed the paperwork. You were in another country, remember? You weren't there. But I was wiring money every damn month, I shot back. Which you seem to remember just fine when it comes to demanding child support. She fell silent. Her jaw clenched. And where were you last night? I continued. Because by the looks of that bag, I pointed past her to the half-zip travel case sitting near the hallway, you weren't planning on staying tonight either. She instinctively moved to block it from view, but it was too late. I'd already seen the clothes, the toiletries, the charger cords. You've been staying somewhere else, I said. Probably not alone. Her mouth tightened into a hard line. I don't owe you an explanation. You're right, I said coldly. You owe it to our daughter. I walked past her into the living room and gently set Nina down on the couch. Go play for a little bit, okay, sweetie? She nodded quietly, kicking off her shoes and curling into the cushions. I turned back to Lena. I'm done asking nicely. I've got copies of the divorce papers, the custody demands, the missing paternity, and your refusal to clarify anything. I also have a photo of the birth certificate, and just so you know, I held up my phone, a DNA test was done this morning. Her face finally cracked. Not rage. Not contempt. Fear. The kind that can't be faked. Lena's face turned a shade of gray I'd never seen before, part fury, part fear. Oh, I see how it is, she spat. You disappear for 6 years, show up out of nowhere, and instead of asking how we've been, you start accusing me like I'm some criminal. Does that make you feel like a man again? I didn't flinch. You and I both know who's faking what. So save the performance. You can cry all you want, but that won't change the facts. She exploded. You know what, Evan? You want the world to see how cruel you are. Fine. And just like that, she spun around, threw open the front door, and stormed out into the street. Then she screamed. Neighbors! Please come help me judge this. Is there any justice left in this world? I rushed to the doorway, too late to stop it. My husband vanished for 6 years. I raised our daughter alone, working day and night to put food on the table. And now that he's back, what does he do? Accuses me of cheating. Wants to take my child away. Her voice cracked into sobs. Loud, dramatic, piercing. I've had to grind every day just to survive. He thinks wiring some money once in a while makes him a father? Try being there. Try showing up. People started gathering, neighbors, passers-by, the usual crowd hungry for spectacle. I could hear whispers turn to murmurs. Then came the judgment. That's him? Nina's dad? The one who was in Canada all those years? He came back just to divorce her? And take the kid? Typical man. She holds down the whole house for 6 years and he walks back in like he's owed something. He should be grateful she didn't change the locks. I heard a phone camera click. Then another. Someone was recording. That did it. I stepped forward, voice raised, sharp enough to cut the noise. I sent money. Every single month. I never missed a wire. You want to call me absent? Fine. But don't you dare say I didn't provide. She's twisting this entire thing. A ripple of uncertainty passed through the crowd. Then came the scoffs. Oh, please. If you were sending so much money, why would Lena be working 12-hour days? You think raising a kid with hospital visits every week is cheap? Nina's had medical issues since birth. You think a few checks cover that? Evan, we've seen Lena up at 5 a.m. hauling boxes into that store. If you were really supporting her, she wouldn't have had to hustle like that. You're just here for a custody grab. Admit it. You want the kid now that she's almost old enough to take care of herself. They came at me from all sides, words like darts, fast and cutting. I was losing the room. But beneath the noise, something new started to sink in. For the first time, I started wondering if Lena really had been broke. I had always assumed she'd lied, to the neighbors, to the court, maybe even to Nina, saying I didn't send money just to gain sympathy. But what if? What if the money never made it? What if she really did work until she broke because she had to? And if that's true, where the hell did over $1.4 million go? I turned to look at Lena. Her eyes darted for a split second, guilt, hesitation, but she caught herself fast. Straightened her back. hardened her jaw. You can say whatever you want, she snapped. It doesn't change anything. I'm not giving Nina to you. I nodded slowly. Fine. But I assume I can still sleep in my own damn house? Before she could speak, a woman from the crowd gasped, loud and theatrical. You can't be serious. After what you did yesterday, she shrieked. You scared them so bad they couldn't even come home. What kind of man does that? You're mentally unstable. Her voice cut through the street like a siren. People nodded along. Phones still hovered in hands, recording, judging, archiving the spectacle. I didn't even feel angry anymore. I felt absurd. Like the punchline in a joke I hadn't been told. So let me get this straight, I said, voice low, bitter. I can't live in my own home now. That's where we've landed. And this, what? This is a neighborhood tribunal? You think you can threaten people in front of all of us? The woman shot back. You lay a hand on her or that child, I'll call the cops right now and have you dragged out. I narrowed my eyes. Turned toward Lena. She flinched. Just slightly, but I saw it. And so did she. She knew. If the police came, questions would follow. Documents. Proof. Evidence. And the clean, tearful image she'd painted of herself, selfless mother, abandoned wife, would begin to crack. She waved her hands quickly. Enough, please. It's fine, she said, voice suddenly soft. I'll stay at the shop for a few nights. Let him have the house for now. The woman stared at her like she'd gone mad. What? No, Lena, absolutely not. You worked for this place. You paid the bills. He left you. She's right, someone else chimed in. He disappears for 6 years and comes back to take the house. He should be the one packing. You don't have to take this, another voice added. We can help you throw him out ourselves if you're afraid. Lena gave them a weak smile, all weary martyrdom. There's no need for that, she said. I've already filed my case with the court. I trust the legal system. I trust the judge will make the right call. That seemed to settle them, for now. The crowd grumbled a little more, but eventually began to disperse. A few lingered long enough to get one last video, one last comment about men like that, and then they wandered off, leaving behind only cigarette smoke and judgment. Lena stood in the doorway, still pretending to be unbothered, still holding that strained little smile. Then, without a word, she turned and disappeared into the hallway. Minutes later, she re-emerged, suitcase in hand. She didn't look at me. She didn't say goodbye. She just walked out the door, slammed it behind her, and was gone. I didn't stop her. Didn't say a word. Not because I didn't want to. But because for the first time since I came back, I realized I didn't know what kind of woman I'd married anymore. My phone buzzed again. It was Monroe. So, he asked, voice even. Everything settled at home? I didn't answer right away. I turned, taking in the near-empty living room. Furniture missing. Photos gone. The air itself felt thinner, as if Lena had vacuumed out whatever warmth once existed. I gave a dry chuckle and headed back to my bedroom. Shut the door behind me. And then, quietly, I told him everything. From the moment I walked in on Lena whispering with her lawyer, to the neighborhood spectacle, to Nina's words on the Ferris wheel. Every piece of it. The missing birth certificate. The money. The blank space where my name should have been. By the time I finished, Monroe's breathing was heavy through the line. Then he growled. Jesus Christ. What kind of woman does that? You were out there risking your damn life, sending every cent back to her, and she lies like that? Builds a story around your absence like it was abandonment? There was fury in his voice. The kind only a good boss, or a decent man, could summon. I didn't interrupt. I let him rage on my behalf. Maybe part of me needed someone to. Finally, I said quietly, I think she's been spending the money somewhere else. Maybe hiding it. Or worse. But I can't prove anything, yet. He didn't hesitate. I know a guy. Private investigator. Ex-military. Quiet, sharp as hell. I'll text you his contact now. Relief bloomed in my chest. This was the break I'd been hoping for. Thank you, Monroe. The next day, I returned to the office to finalize my repatriation paperwork. Everything went smoothly. When it was done, Monroe stepped up to the front of the conference room, a rare smile tugging at his mouth. Now that Mr. Barrett has successfully wrapped up his overseas assignment, he said, and with the Canadian division officially taking over external operations, it gives me great pleasure to announce his promotion. He paused. Looked directly at me. To Director of External Affairs. The room broke into applause. Monroe clapped me on the back. You bled for this company, Barrett. We don't forget that. You ever need backup, we're here. The words meant more than he knew. And the new title? With it came a substantial raise. On paper, it was even better than the fieldwork in Canada. Finally, some ground beneath my feet. Colleagues came over to shake my hand. I caught glimpses of admiration, even envy. I gave a small cough and smiled. Drinks tonight. My treat. You all better show up. Nobody leaves sober. Laughter. Cheers. Shoulder pats all around. But beneath the surface of celebration, a hollowness clung to me. There was no one to share the good news with. Not anymore. The first instinct I had, call Lena, tell Nina, died in my throat before it could become action. They were no longer mine to share it with. And besides, I couldn't afford to show my hand now. Not when I was this close to knowing the truth. Monroe must have noticed my silence. He leaned in and said, You've got your people here, Barrett. But whatever's happening outside this building, fix that first. You get one life, brother. Don't let someone else hijack it. I nodded, grateful. Later that night, I got a confirmation text from Elliot, the investigator Monroe had referred. He'd received the files I sent. Nina's birth certificate. Bank wire confirmations. Lena's business registration. He was already on it. And if she had secrets? They wouldn't stay buried for long. I hadn't expected it. The video from that day, me and Lena shouting in front of the house, the neighbors, the accusations, somehow, someone had recorded the whole thing. And someone else had uploaded it. Maybe out of boredom. Maybe spite. But what should have been just another messy domestic dispute, one of 1,000 forgotten by morning, took on a life of its own. Somehow, it made it to the city's top trending page. And it didn't stop there. The algorithm loved it. Or maybe someone helped it along. Boosted views. Paid for exposure. Whatever the case, it caught fire. And the comment section? It was a slaughterhouse. There I was, frozen on screen, jaw tight, eyes narrowed, while Lena cradled Nina in her arms, the girl's eyes red from crying, her little fists clutching her mother's coat. The crowd didn't care what was true. They cared about what looked true. Jesus, this guy's a monster. Cold as stone. Everyone around here knows that family. He left them for 6 years and didn't send a dime. Kid's been sick since birth, chronic respiratory stuff. Vitamins, meds, hospital runs. You think that's cheap? All on Lena. Working 5 a.m. shifts just to afford diapers. And now he shows up, wants to take the kid like it's a dog in a custody battle? Did you see that video? He went to the school and snatched her. Poor kid probably thought she was being kidnapped. Someone said she coughed up blood after that. She's always been fragile. And this psycho gave her a panic attack. It got worse. They say he might be sterile. Like this is his only kid, and now he's trying to claim her for appearances. Ugh. Disgusting. Men like that don't deserve a family. Bet he didn't raise her a single day, and now he wants to be called dad? Yeah, screw that. I didn't read all the comments. I couldn't. Just skimming them made my vision blur. It didn't matter that I'd been wiring money like clockwork for 6 straight years. That I'd sacrificed a life overseas, nearly broke myself just to keep this family afloat. It didn't matter that Lena was hiding something. That I had filed records, court filings, a DNA test in the works. None of it mattered. Because the internet had made up its mind. And now? I was the villain in someone else's bedtime story. It didn't stop with the video. Someone, generous, helpful, possibly strategic, had taken the liberty of posting Lena's social media account in the comment thread. And that was all it took. Within hours, her page was flooded. Not with trolls. Not with hate. With love. Support. Devotion. There she was, Lena Hart, the internet's new favorite single mother. The resilient woman with dark circles under her eyes, a tired but beautiful smile, and a frail daughter leaning against her shoulder. The bio? Just a mom doing her best. The posts? Candid shots of early morning deliveries. Grocery bags in hand. Nina curled up in her lap at the clinic. A thermometer, a hospital bracelet, a lunchbox with cartoon stickers. Nothing staged. But everything crafted. Oh my God, one comment read. She's incredible. If I had a child with that many health issues, I wouldn't even have the energy to breathe, let alone run a business. I'm sobbing. This is the kind of woman that deserves the world. I don't even have kids, but watching this made me want to go hug my mom. Can you imagine raising a sick child alone for 6 years? 6. And now this man wants to just show up and take everything? Where's her store? We need to go support her. Someone get me the address, this woman deserves money. The story was complete. Lena wasn't just a mother anymore. She was a movement. A symbol of what every exhausted, invisible woman wished the world would finally see. And just as the wave reached its peak, someone did their homework. I found out who the guy is. Evan Barrett. Formerly based in Canada under Ascentel Communications. Newly promoted. External Affairs Director. Probably pulling in 6 figures, easy. Explains the fancy watch in that video. He's not broke, he's just heartless. But then, a ripple. Wait. If he was overseas, does that mean the rumors were exaggerated? Was he really gone? People get sent on international postings all the time. Doesn't mean they abandoned their families. Also, if he just got promoted, he can't be completely useless. Unless he never sent any money back. Which is what it looks like. Exactly. If he'd been supporting them, Lena wouldn't look like she's been through hell. And then Lena posted again. A video compilation. No words. No music. Just timestamps. Captions. Photographs. Tiny injuries. A bruised wrist. A swollen ankle. A deep scratch across her palm. A stitched forehead. None of them dramatic. Each, on its own, forgettable. But together? They painted a portrait of a woman who had endured. And the internet ate it up. My chest hurts watching this. She's been bleeding and crying while he's out there climbing corporate ladders. God. She didn't just raise a child, she survived him. We don't protect women like this enough. She's why we fight. I read the comments in silence. I didn't even feel rage anymore. It was something colder. Deeper. Like being buried alive in someone else's story. She was shaping the narrative. Framing the ending. And if I didn't move fast, I'd be erased entirely. The final nail wasn't the video. It wasn't even the comments. It was the live stream. Lena, framed in soft lighting, her shop shelves perfectly curated behind her. A slight red in her eyes, tears clinging to her lashes like well-placed props. Her voice trembled, not too much, just enough. She knew what she was doing. And her audience? They couldn't get enough. See these? She held up her arms, panning the camera to small, faded scars and bandages. Every one of these is a badge of motherhood. Nina sat beside her, hair brushed neatly, cheeks pink from crying, or made to look like it. She watched me suffer. She watched me bleed. And now that she's finally growing up, the man who vanished for 6 years wants to show up and take her. The chat exploded. He doesn't deserve her. Not the kid. Not the house. Not one more breath of her life. Stay strong, Mama. Tell us where to donate. Lena dabbed her eyes with a tissue, her voice cracking just enough. I know I'm just one woman. I don't have lawyers or money. All I have is this little shop, and my daughter. But even that, he's trying to take. Why? She let the pause hang. Because he's the father? Because he makes more money? The stream chat ignited again. Men always get away with everything. Ascentel Communications needs to answer for this. Wait, isn't he some high up there now? External something something? He got promoted while she was here raising a child alone? No. 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 And then came the wave. Emails. Tweets. Anonymous calls. Letters. Complaint after complaint, hurled at the company headquarters like stones at a glass house. They accused me of domestic abuse, emotional neglect, attempted child abduction. One message even claimed I had physically harmed a medically fragile child. They demanded my resignation. They demanded accountability. They demanded blood. Because people don't hate billionaires. They hate the guy who makes just enough more than them to remind them of what they don't have. And I was that guy. Successful enough to be resented. Close enough to be punished. And Lena? She understood the game. Her shop boomed. Foot traffic doubled overnight. People didn't come for the products. They came for the pain. To buy a bottle of herbal oil or a bag of dried tea leaves and hear the story. The brave mother. The abandoned child. The villainous husband who returned just to take it all away. She'd live perform at the counter. Smile through tears. Thank them. Offer discounts for anyone who left a positive review online. And she never broke character. I was so naive, she said one night during a stream, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought, when he came home, things would get easier. I thought I'd get to rest. She wiped her eyes again. But what came back from Canada wasn't my husband. It was something else. And just like that, she had them. They weren't just customers anymore. They were soldiers. Raising their voices. Opening their wallets. And weaponizing my job as evidence of my guilt. I watched it all unfold in silence. This wasn't just personal anymore. This was war by sympathy. And she was winning. The comment came during her third live stream that week. A kind voice. An avatar of a sunflower. Is he trying to fight you for custody? Is there anything we can do to help? Money? Lena smiled. Soft. Humble. Thank you, she said, brushing her hair behind one ear. But I'm doing better now. The shop's growing. Nina's health is improving. I don't need financial support. Please, give to someone who needs it more. The chat froze for a second. Then erupted in admiration. She's not just strong, she's selfless. God, if I were her I'd be crowdfunding like crazy. She's built different. Pure gold. Then came the next offer. A lawyer, maybe. Or someone pretending to be. What about legal aid? These custody battles cost a fortune. Lena looked into the lens, eyes steady and trusting. Thank you. I've already been contacted by a very kind attorney. We've officially filed with the court. I trust that justice will be served. Please, just keep Nina in your thoughts. That was it. All she needed to say. The audience ignited. Wait, there's gonna be a court case? When? Where? Is it public? Can we attend? We should all show up. Let that guy see he's being watched. He needs to know people are paying attention. That he can't bully his way through this. More voices joined. The chat turned into a volunteer army. I'll bring cameras. We'll make sure everything's documented. We need to live stream the trial. Even if it's closed, I know how to file a request for open proceedings. I'll draft it today. The frenzy escalated. Someone suggested starting a petition. Another promised to call the courthouse every day until they relented. Someone joked, but maybe not really, about organizing a protest on the steps. Lena hesitated. She saw the crowd getting too close. Too real. Thank you, truly, she said, shifting slightly in her chair. But this is still my private family matter. The court date isn't public, and it's a closed hearing. There won't be room for observers. The chat didn't care. They insisted. Then make it public. Request to unseal it. We'll demand access. The people have a right to see justice. I'll start the paperwork tonight. The fever peaked. Lena's fingers twitched on screen. Her face stiffened beneath the practiced grace. And then, click. The stream cut out. Just like that. The screen went black. I sat in my bedroom, staring at the phone. No expression on my face. No anger left to pour out. Just the dry, bitter taste of irony. Because it didn't matter what she said now. It didn't even matter what she meant. The crowd was moving. And they weren't moving for her. They were moving for the story. I watched Lena's performance from beginning to end. The trembling voice. The tears. The practiced silences. She wasn't afraid of me. She was afraid of exposure. If that trial became public, the narrative she spent years building would crumble in 30 minutes. That's why she didn't want anyone in the courtroom. Because once you're under oath, you can't hide behind filters or lighting or pity. And if either party requests privacy in a custody hearing, if either one objects to the court opening its doors, then that's it. The public stays out. But I had no intention of letting her get away with that. So I planted a little seed. I created a burner account. Something untraceable. Then I left a comment beneath her latest clip. This kind of monster? We don't see justice unless it's public. Livestream the trial, let the world watch him burn. I know people would gladly pay to support you. There's strength in numbers. Let's use it. It took off instantly. Over 10,000 likes in a day. The replies were a full-throated roar. Public trial or bust. We want to see him crushed in court. Livestream the whole thing, I'll send money every day she fights back. She's a hero. He's filth. Let's make sure everyone knows it. Good. Let it spread. Let the fire grow. Let her float so high that she forgets where the ground is. 2 days later, the fallout arrived, suit and tie. The chairman of Ascentel flew in himself. Not a proxy. Not a VP. The man. He pulled Monroe into his office for a closed-door meeting that stretched over 2 tense hours. Every pair of eyes in the building kept darting toward that frosted glass door, waiting. Finally, Monroe emerged and motioned for me. No words. Just a small, tight flick of the wrist. I understood. Inside, the chairman didn't offer a seat. Didn't offer a greeting. He just stared at me, that polished mask of authority barely containing his disgust. "You know why I'm here," he said. I didn't flinch. "Yes, sir. You've dragged this company through the mud. Do you have any idea what this circus has cost us?" I nodded. "I'm aware. I'm doing everything I can to manage the situation." "Manage?" he barked. "This isn't personal PR. This is corporate integrity. You think our clients in Tokyo and Frankfurt don't read English? You think our shareholders don't have internet?" I stayed silent. Let him vent. Let the heat bleed out. Because I knew the truth. Ascentel's contracts were long-term, international, enterprise scale. No vendor would drop 10 years of infrastructure over a domestic custody scandal. They wouldn't even blink. The chairman was just angry. Not because the business was bleeding. But because his name was showing up in hashtags next to the words abuse, divorce, and child custody. I kept my voice calm. "I'll resolve it quietly. Off the radar." "You'd better," he snapped. "Because if this hits another headline, you won't have a department to manage. Hell, you won't have a badge to scan in with." I gave a small nod. "I understand." He stared at me one last time, eyes cold. Then he turned away. Dismissed. I stepped back into the hallway. Monroe was waiting. He gave me a look. Half apology, half warning. "Things are getting loud," he said quietly. "You need to end this. Fast." I didn't respond. Because I already had a plan. Let Lena keep performing. Let the donations keep pouring in. Let the crowd build her up, higher and higher. The higher she climbed, the longer the fall. Once the chairman's fury finally burned itself out, I bowed my head slightly and spoke. "You have my word, sir. This will be resolved very soon." The court date was set, 7 days from now. Everything would be laid bare. The lies. The manipulation. The truth. And once that truth came out, the noise would die down. The mob would move on. But the chairman wasn't having it. "Don't feed me this vague corporate crap," he snapped. "If I don't see results in 30 days, clean results, you can pack your desk and get the hell out." I nodded quickly, trying to hold the temperature down. "Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll make sure it's handled." Monroe cleared his throat gently beside me. "For now, I suggest we place Barrett on temporary leave. Let the public noise settle a bit. He'll cooperate fully with the investigation." I jumped in before the chairman could say anything else. "Of course. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you both for trusting me. I won't let you down." The chairman rolled his eyes like he'd just swallowed vinegar. "If Caleb here hadn't personally vouched for you, I'd have fired your ass on Monday." That caught me off guard. I turned to Monroe, surprised. He gave me a short nod. "I trust your character, Evan. And I trust my instincts. I don't back the wrong people." For a moment, I couldn't speak. Lena, my wife, the mother of my child, I had given her everything, only to be betrayed and stripped down to nothing. My name. My rights. Even my daughter's last name. But Monroe? He had no reason to stand by me. No obligation. No blood ties. And still, here he was, staking his own reputation on my truth. That kind of loyalty? That kind of faith? I didn't know how many years it would take to repay. The chairman was already waving us out like we were flies. All right, enough with the bonding moment. Get out. I don't want to see either of you till this shitstorm calms down. We stepped into the hallway, and immediately, a delivery guy approached. Evan Barrett? I blinked. Yeah. That's me. Delivery for you. Sign here. He handed over a sealed envelope, heavy, formal. My stomach tightened. The DNA results. I had taken Nina to the lab quietly a few days ago, just before everything exploded. This had to be it. My hand shook slightly as I scribbled my signature and took the envelope. I turned, searching for some quiet corner. Monroe caught my arm. What is it? A court summons? I shook my head. No. It's the paternity test. Monroe's face went still. Then, without a word, he pulled me into his office. You shouldn't open something like this out here, he said quietly. Use my office. I won't look. And with that, he turned his back and walked to the window. I stood there, the envelope in my hands. The weight of it hit me like a freight train. This wasn't just paper. This was truth, 6 years of questions, suspicions, stories, and sacrifices condensed into a few lines of data. I took a long breath. Then another. Steady. Calm. And finally, I broke the seal. The report was neatly bound, sitting squarely on the desk in front of me. I couldn't describe how I felt. I didn't even try. I skipped over the technical jargon, page after page of sterile charts and metrics, my fingers flipping through the document on autopilot, until I reached the last page. Conclusion: the results do not support that Evan Barrett is the biological father of Nina Hart. For a second, I stopped breathing. Then the breath I'd been holding came rushing out of my lungs like a deflating tire. I didn't know if I was relieved or shattered. I should have felt betrayed. Furious. Heartbroken. But all I felt was nothing. Just a strange, heavy quiet. Behind me, Monroe finally broke the silence. Well, he asked carefully. What did it say? I glanced back at him, a faint, sardonic smile tugging at my lips. She's not mine, I said lightly, almost as if I were making a joke. Monroe stepped in fast, scanning the final page over my shoulder. His brow furrowed, then hardened. After a long pause, he muttered, "Well, that changes everything." I nodded once. Yeah. It does. There was no need to say more. He knew what I was going to do. And he agreed with every bit of it. Exactly 1 week later, another package arrived at my door. The private investigator had delivered 3 thick stacks of documents. Chronologically ordered. Cross-referenced. Bulletproof. That night, the eve of the hearing, I didn't sleep. I sat at my dining room table, flipping page after page under the glow of a single lamp. Receipts. Surveillance photos. Bank statements. Transcripts. And with each one, the same question kept replaying in my mind. Where the hell did all my money go? Now I knew. And tomorrow, so would the court. The day of the hearing. I stepped out of the car, carrying the evidence in a leather briefcase, 3 volumes thick, each one heavier than the last. As I approached the courthouse, the crowd came into view. They'd been camped out since early morning. Hundreds of them, maybe more. Placards in hand. Chants in full swing. Their rage was loud. Unfiltered. A woman in a denim jacket spotted me first. "You've got a lot of nerve showing up here," she screamed. Another man lunged forward. "You want to be a real man? Walk away empty-handed. That girl deserves better than you." Dozens of others followed suit, hurling insults, waving signs, blocking my path. But I didn't flinch. Didn't break pace. Didn't say a word. I kept walking, every step echoing louder than their shouts. Because what they didn't know, what they were about to learn, is that the story they thought they understood was about to collapse like a house of cards. And I had just lit the match. A man stepped in front of me, blocking the path to the courthouse steps. "Hey! We're talking to you. Don't just walk away like you don't hear us." I raised an eyebrow, eyes flicking to his hand, hovering too close to my chest for comfort. "You planning to hit me?" I asked, voice flat. "Because unless I missed something, this is a federal courthouse. You sure you want to assault someone in front of the marshals?" The guy froze. "I didn't touch you, all right? Don't make stuff up." I looked around slowly. There were easily 20 of them. Maybe more. I raised my voice just enough for the crowd to hear. "Then why are you surrounding me? Blocking my path on government property, are we calling that a peaceful protest, or a coordinated act of harassment?" They blinked at me, thrown off by the shift in tone. Someone in the back shouted, "This is a registered demonstration. We filed the permit. Don't try to scare us with your fancy talk." I shook my head with a cold smile. "Sure. Protesting's legal. But this isn't protesting anymore. This is obstruction. If I miss my hearing because of you, I can file charges for malicious interference with judicial proceedings." I pointed at the man who first stepped in front of me. "And you, the second I prove you contributed to any delay, you're facing a lawsuit for inciting unlawful assembly." That did it. The crowd collectively took a half-step back, glancing nervously at one another. Someone muttered, "Jesus Christ. He's a damn legal-speak thug." Another whispered, "This guy's gonna walk. Hart's got no chance now." But the resistance flared back up fast. "He's just flexing because he's rich and knows the system," one woman shouted. "We cannot let this pig win." Exactly. "Even if the court caves, we'll keep pressure online, keep that live stream going. We can't let money and lies erase the truth. We fight for Nina. And for Lena. No matter what the verdict says." I ignored them. I'd already won this round. I climbed the courthouse steps and walked through the security gates without a backward glance. Inside, the courtroom buzzed with quiet tension. I walked to the defendant's table. And there she was. Lena. Sitting at the plaintiff's side, face red and eyes puffy. The tears were fresh. Crocodile tears, no doubt. Beside her sat a sleek, smug-looking lawyer in a tailored suit. The second he spotted me, something in his gaze changed. Predatory. Calculating. Greedy. I looked straight into his eyes, and felt my hands curl into fists. I knew that look. He wasn't here for justice. He was here for blood. And money. He thought I'd already lost. He had no idea what I was about to show them. I'd seen that lawyer before. Of course I had. But I didn't acknowledge him, not yet. At the head of the courtroom, the judge frowned at me over his reading glasses. "Mr. Barrett, take your seat. You're the last one." From the tone of his voice, I could already tell Lena had been busy poisoning the well long before I arrived. But I said nothing. I simply nodded and walked to the defendant's table, calm and collected, as though the air around me weren't thick with judgment. Nearly 30 people filled the public gallery, each one with a phone raised like a weapon. Some smirked. Some glared. Some looked like they couldn't wait to post the next viral clip. At the clerk's desk, a 360-degree camera stood tall, silent and all-seeing, streaming everything live to tens of thousands of viewers. What I couldn't see was how the chat exploded the moment I appeared on screen. "Look at this bastard. Acting all calm like he's done nothing wrong. He was outside threatening protesters earlier. Said he'd have them arrested. Unbelievable. Can we petition the judge to strip him of everything? Give Lena the house, the kid, the money. He's lucky she's not charging him for emotional damage too. 6 years of child-rearing and zero support. Lena deserves a goddamn parade." The judge began to read the plaintiff's complaint out loud, and for the first few minutes, it was just a string of numbers and legalese. But soon enough, cracks started to show, at least to anyone paying close attention. Wait, $300,000 in shared debt? From her side? How is that his problem? Lena's the one who took out the loans, right? Who cares? What about their savings? Bet that bastard's got offshore accounts. You know how much those foreign assignments pay? He's probably sitting on $1 million. Ascentel Communications is no joke. He's been raking in money while Lena suffered. Then someone caught another detail. Hold up, did I hear that right? The daughter's last name is Hart? Not Barrett? So? Welcome to the 21st century. Moms are allowed to pass down their names. Exactly. Deadbeat dad doesn't deserve naming rights anyway. 6 years of absence, and he thinks he can waltz back in and parent? The judge turned to Lena and nodded. She stood. Here came the monologue. Her lawyer gave her an encouraging glance, like a stage manager before curtain call, and Lena stepped into the spotlight with tears brimming in her eyes. She looked fragile. Noble. Devastated. A heroine wronged. It was a hell of a performance. And I was just getting started. Tears came easily to Lena now. Maybe she'd been rehearsing too much these past few days. Or maybe she was just that good at playing the part. Either way, she stepped into her role with practiced ease, eyes welling up the second she rose to speak. Ever since Nina was born, she began, her voice trembling just enough to sound authentic, she's been sick. One infection after another. Too young for antibiotics. I had to sit with her every night, coaxing her through it with home remedies and hope. The courtroom grew still, the audience leaning in like theatergoers. There was no one else. No partner. No help. I took care of everything, inside the house, outside of it. I was alone. She sniffled, dabbed at her eyes. I still remember when Nina was 9 months old and came down with something serious. I had no money. None. I wrapped her in blankets and carried her out into the freezing cold to sell trinkets on the street. Her face turned blue. She was delirious. I really thought, I was going to lose her. She looked up toward the judge, her gaze glassy with the weight of her own words. Some kind stranger gave us money for her medicine. That's the only reason she survived. She let the moment hang, then continued. When Nina's health stabilized a little, I knew I couldn't keep living like that. So I opened a small shop. Just me. Stocking shelves, selling goods, surviving. A wistful smile tugged at her lips. It was hard. So hard. Nina was still sick more often than not. I'd take her to the hospital in the middle of the night for 4 drips, then rush to the wholesale market at dawn just to restock. Another tear. And when I got sick, fever, chills, exhaustion, I'd still make sure Nina had food, medicine, warm clothes. That's what mothers do. We sacrifice. From the public gallery, someone couldn't take it anymore. We love you, Lena. Don't cry, we're here for you. The judge slammed his gavel. Order in the court. This is a legal proceeding, not a rally. Lena bowed her head respectfully, then lifted her tear-streaked face again. I'm not afraid of poverty, she said. Or pain. I'll take it all, if it means my daughter has a chance at life. But he. She spun toward me, eyes blazing now. He left us. For 6 years. Never sent a dollar, never called. And now he wants to barge back into Nina's life and take her away. Her voice cracked into a sob. Do you know what that did to her? She cried so hard she vomited blood. He scared her into a breakdown. Nina was born with a weak constitution, he might as well have killed her. She beat her chest, trembling. I raised her. I bled for her. And now he comes back, accusing me of cheating on him? Ask anyone in the neighborhood. I wake up before sunrise, work until after dark. When would I possibly have time for an affair? Phones tilted again, every camera in the room zooming in on me like vultures locking on to carrion. My face, broadcast to tens of thousands. A live trial turned into a public execution. They were all waiting to see if I would flinch. I didn't. Because I knew something they didn't. And soon, they would all know it too. Lena ended her testimony in a crescendo of tears, clutching her chest like a grieving widow. The judge turned to me, his voice noticeably dry. Mr. Barrett, do you have a response to the plaintiff's statement? I could tell Lena's sob story had gotten to him. His eyes said everything. You're the villain here, aren't you? I glanced at Lena just in time to catch her lips curl into a smile. She mouthed something. A private celebration. A victory she believed was already hers. Too bad no one else saw it. Too bad they were all too busy drowning in her performance to notice her smugness. I sniffed. Not because I was moved. Not because I felt remorse. I was just angry. Not at her theatrics, but at how thoroughly she'd twisted the truth. Let's be clear, Nina may not be my biological daughter, but she was a child. A defenseless one. And I'd been sending money for years, every single month. Money Lena never truly used on our child. Even the 9-month-old medical emergency she just weaponized in court. I only learned about it last night. She never told me. Never even tried to contact me. And she had good reason not to. Because I'd sent her that month's living expenses days earlier, funds that mysteriously vanished the moment they hit her account. If she'd called me, I would have known something was wrong. But she didn't. And now she had the gall to spin that silence into courtroom sympathy. I sniffed again, one quick, irritated breath, and instantly the whispers started. People turned in their seats, glaring at me. One man even snorted aloud, a theatrical gesture of disgust. He wanted to curse me out, and probably would have if not for the risk of being tossed from court. I cleared my throat. My honor, I began calmly, I have here 6 years' worth of bank records, including every salary statement and transfer receipt. They clearly show that I have provided monthly child support, regular, on time, and without fail. A voice in the back cut through the room like a blade. What, a few scraps of cash and you think you've earned the right to a child's life? You think money's enough? The judge shot the man a sharp look. He sat down immediately. But the judge wasn't letting me off easy either. Mr. Barrett, he said, tone cold. Parenting is not just about remitting funds. You were a husband. A father. You had a duty to be present. Money can't buy emotional support. Where were you when they needed you most? I didn't flinch. Instead, I reached for another folder and laid it gently on the table. This, I said, is the overseas assignment contract I signed 6 years ago. It includes my signature and official notarization. Then I turned, not to the judge, but to the public gallery. And since some people have raised doubts about the money I sent, I paused to make sure every camera was locked on me. Let me be very clear, my base salary overseas was $22,000 a month. After minimal deductions for meals and transportation, I wired home $20,000 every single month. The room erupted. Gasps. Murmurs. Someone cursed under their breath. $20,000. Every month. For 6 years. Suddenly, Lena's struggling single mom story didn't seem so airtight. Did he just say $20,000 a month? No way, seriously? That's a hell of a lot. My neighbors were in court last month. Dude was ordered to pay $5,000 in child support. This guy's paying 4 times that. The courtroom buzzed like a kicked beehive. And Lena snapped. She jumped to her feet, face flushed with fury. "You people have no idea what you're talking about," she yelled, pointing wildly at the gallery. "Do you know how many times Nina's been sick? What meds she's needed? How much I've spent on her care? Supplements, clinics, prescriptions, he has no clue." She spun toward the judge, voice cracking. "If I hadn't opened that store to make ends meet, Nina would have died a long time ago. Don't let him fool you, he's lying." I didn't respond right away. Just stared at her. The chill in my eyes must have said enough. Without a word, I pulled another envelope from my folder, but didn't open it. Instead, I turned my gaze to the man seated beside her. Damien. Her lawyer. Her real partner. "I have documentation," I said slowly, letting the words hang like knives in the air, showing that every dollar I sent Lena for child support was rerouted, month after month, into a private account. The room froze. I raised my voice slightly, made sure everyone heard me clearly. Some of those transfers were $20,000. Others, $15,000. But they all went to the same man. I locked eyes with Damien. "You." Lena's expression faltered. Her jaw clenched, color draining from her face. She hadn't seen that one coming. For a second, no one moved. Then the jury erupted. "Bullshit. No mother would do that. He's making this up. Who in their right mind would spend child support on a boyfriend? Monster. She let her daughter suffer while she bankrolled some loser? No way." Their anger ignited like wildfire, righteous, explosive, primal. Lena shrank in her seat, her knuckles bone white against the table. Even Damien went rigid, his face like stone. But no one noticed. They were all looking at me. Even the judge leaned forward now, voice tight with warning. "Mr. Barrett, I hope you understand the consequences of perjury. Falsified evidence in this courtroom carries a prison sentence." I nodded calmly. "I'm aware, Your Honor. That's why this," I lifted the folder slightly, "is a financial subpoena granted by this very court. All procedures were followed, all documentation is lawful." Then I laid a second set of papers beside it. "This one includes full bank records. Every cent of child support I sent was rerouted into a personal account." I pointed once again toward the defense table. "And that account happens to belong to someone sitting right there." Damien shot to his feet, knocking over his chair. "Lies. This is outrageous. Your Honor, I demand that so-called evidence be reviewed immediately. There has to be a mistake." But the judge had already taken a quick glance at the top sheet and shook his head. "No mistake. That's our official seal. Mr. Barrett, submit the documents." I gave a quiet nod and stepped forward. The courtroom went silent. Maybe, just maybe, they weren't so sure anymore. Maybe they were beginning to realize they'd been wrong. All eyes followed me as I walked to the judge's bench, each step echoing like a drumbeat. I placed the documents on the table and spoke loud and clear. "Your Honor, while this evidence may not directly pertain to the divorce filing itself, I believe it proves a clear case of illegal misappropriation of marital assets." I turned toward Damien. His face was a shade of ash. Standing felt too exposed, sitting seemed like an admission. He chose to freeze in place, caught, cornered. I let out a short, humorless laugh. "I'll be filing a civil suit within the week," I said, voice steady. "Demanding full restitution of stolen funds and ill-gotten gains." The crowd stirred again. They were trying to catch up. Last night, I'd finally reviewed the full investigative report sent by my private detective. Every dollar I had wired back home for my daughter's care, every sacrifice made thousands of miles from home, had gone straight into Damien's account. 6 years ago, he'd been nothing. A broke intern fresh out of law school, bullied by seniors, scraping for rent, and barely hanging on to the legal profession. But my money? It built him. My money gave him leverage. My money paid for staff, office space, marketing. My money turned him from a ghost into a rising star. Now he stood poised at the edge of success, on the verge of joining a top-tier firm. A future of million-dollar clients, prestige, and headlines. And Lena had seen all of it. That's why she clung to him. Not because of love. Because she was betting on a better payoff. The judge flipped through the file, brows slightly raised. Then he looked up and gave Damien a slow, measured glance. "Verified," he said. Just one word. That was all it took. And the room exploded. Not just the courtroom, but online too. The live stream chat flooded in real time. "Wait, what? You're telling me the husband wired money back every month, and she gave it to her new guy? Bro, we've been blaming the wrong guy this whole time." "No, no, no. She let her daughter get sick, begged strangers to help pay for meds, and had the nerve to hand over thousands to her boyfriend? She didn't just cheat. She stole. From her kid. She should be charged with fraud. That's straight-up donation scamming. Her child was dying and she had the money, she just didn't spend it on her. I'm sick. This man worked overseas for years for that little girl. And everyone here treated him like trash. Women like this are terrifying. They'll say anything. She better walk out of that courtroom with nothing. No house, no custody, no damn sympathy." The same crowd that had thrown stones now scrambled to reverse course, just as loud, just as vicious. They had hated me just an hour ago. Now they wanted Lena burned alive. Damien looked like the air had been knocked clean out of him. He slumped in his chair, silent and drained. But Lena? Lena was furious. She slammed her palm against the table, rattling the water glass. "What do you mean I gave money to some other man? That was an investment. You ever heard of that word? Investment?" I glanced at her coldly. "You sure that's the word you want to go with?" She jutted her chin out, defiant. "Damn right I am. What, you think I was gonna depend on your boring paycheck for the rest of my life? I had to plan for Nina's future, our future. Your salary isn't exactly world-changing, you know." That made the courtroom shift uneasily. A few jaws clenched. Some frowned. Because the truth was, not many people in that room made more than 10 grand a month, let alone 20. And she just dismissed it like it was pocket change. Just how deep did her entitlement run? I nodded slowly. "Okay. So let's say it was an investment. Where's the return? Where are my dividends?" Lena's face flushed crimson. "There's no refund. The firm's just getting off the ground, you want him to shut it down to pay you back? Fine. I'll have him send you a cut later. Is that what this is? You just want money, right?" I smiled thinly. "I don't want dividends. I want my principal. Every dollar. Plus interest, plus restitution for unauthorized use of marital assets." My voice echoed like steel on concrete. And just like that, Lena cracked. She shot up from her seat, voice shrill, eyes wild. That money was half mine. We were married. Everything you own is ours. You don't get to just take it all back. I stared her down. And what makes you think you're automatically entitled to half? Without hesitation, she snapped back. Because I gave you a daughter. Because I was your wife. Exactly what I'd been waiting for. I reached into my case and laid the final document on the table. A hush fell over the room. They'd seen the last two blows land hard, this one, they knew, would go nuclear. Even Lena paled, her instinct sensing what was coming. She lunged toward the judge's bench, trying to shout me down. What more do you want from me? You want to destroy me completely, is that it? I didn't flinch. I just want back what's mine. Your Honor, please review this document before you make your ruling. This time, the judge didn't eye me with contempt. He accepted the file with a new weight in his expression, measured, cautious, and fully alert. He opened it. And with each page turned, his brow darkened. Then came the fury. He slammed the folder shut, eyes locking onto Lena like lasers. Ms. Hart, I am asking you, under oath, did you withhold material information from this court? Lena flinched, her breath catching. But she lifted her chin again. No. I didn't hide anything. I don't even know what I supposedly did wrong. Don't believe him, Your Honor. He's just a bitter, petty man who wants to see me and my daughter dead. And then came the waterworks. Like clockwork, she burst into dramatic sobs, hands shaking, voice cracking. But this time? No one rushed to comfort her. No one looked outraged on her behalf. Most of them just watched. Quiet. Curious. Waiting for the next bomb to drop. What's in the judge's hand? Show it already. Don't just wave it around like a cliffhanger. I swear, that look on his face, something big is coming. I think I know what it is, but if I'm right, damn. Could it be that? Yeah. I think it is. The gallery buzzed like a live studio audience, murmurs rising into overlapping waves. And the live stream chat? Exploding with speculation. The judge rapped his gavel. Order in the court. Silence, finally. Then, slowly, he lifted the paper in his hand and turned to Lena. Ms. Hart, he said, voice grave, according to this official report from the Judicial Testing Center, your daughter, Nina Hart, is not biologically related to the defendant. There is no blood relation between them. Were you aware of this? Boom. The courtroom went dead quiet. Even the internet chat froze. All that outrage, all that performance, all that righteous indignation. Shattered in a single sentence. They'd believed in her, the strong single mother, the brave woman abandoned, the victim of a cold, absent man. But she wasn't strong. She wasn't independent. And she damn sure wasn't the victim. Somebody slap me. I must be dreaming, this is insane. She knew. She had to know. She took all that money from him to raise another man's kid? She said it was for their daughter's future. Turns out it wasn't their daughter at all. Men. Be aware. This right here is why some of y'all fear marriage. I'm gonna scream. She cried on the stand. She had me crying too. Give that woman an Oscar. Is it bad that all I care about now is how this ends? Does he get any of that money back? Or is he just screwed forever? Bet she already moved the money offshore. She was ready for this. Wait, who is the real father? You guys see her lawyer? He looks like he's about to faint. No way, he's the dad? Dude. Now that you mention it, the kid does kinda look like him. Someone pull his LinkedIn now. I need receipts. The judge cleared his throat sharply. Given the complexity of the case and new information, this court will recess for 30 minutes for off-the-record deliberation and potential mediation. He slammed the gavel. Then, for just a moment, he glanced over at me. There was pity in that look. But I didn't need it. I simply offered a tired smile and a small shake of my head. I'd had enough time to let this truth sink in. Like Mr. Monroe told me that night. Don't waste energy grieving lies. Focus on reclaiming what's rightfully yours. 3 days later. The verdict was finally out. Because Lena had no assets in her name, only a rented storefront she ran her business out of, and the single property she did claim was still under mortgage, she couldn't afford to repay the full 6 years' worth of child support. So the judge ruled, she was to leave the marriage with nothing. And on top of that, she was ordered to repay approximately $200,000 in staggered payments. The internet exploded. You've got to be kidding me. 6 years of support? That's $1.44 million. Even if they split it down the middle, shouldn't he at least get $720,000 back? What is this ruling? Who the hell would still get married after this? Honestly, I don't think it's a bad verdict. The guy's money got funneled out, yeah, but the mortgage was being paid with her business income. She didn't take the house. So, part of the debt's offset. Still feels wrong. What does the guy get? He worked overseas for 6 damn years, bled his savings dry, found out the kid wasn't even his, and now he's got an empty house and no money? Where's the justice for men? When's someone gonna say it like it is? Didn't the guy nearly lose his job over this? I remember people mass emailing Ascentel Communications, demanding he be fired. Was there ever any follow-up? Yeah, I think there was an official statement. They launched an internal ethics review. It didn't take long for someone to dig up the company's latest announcement. Breaking: Ascentel Communications has reinstated Mr. Evan Barrett to his original position. Yes. Thank God his job wasn't lost. I was genuinely worried the online hate was gonna ruin him. Told y'all. Big companies like Ascentel don't just promote random jerks. He's a solid guy, completely slandered. Justice partially served. Now let that man breathe. I registered a new account that evening. Just a simple username. Defendant in the overseas asset misappropriation case. And then I posted one thing. A copy of my new lawsuit. Filing suit against the Damien Law Group. Demanding the return of $720,000 in misappropriated marital funds. $1.5 million in unlawful gains and damages for emotional distress, ***. Don't ask why I tacked on extra 6 figures. 6 years of my life, burned and buried? You think I wouldn't charge interest? Within hours, the post had racked up over 10 million views. Just like before, when the mob came after me, the tide had turned. Now they were furious on my behalf. Calling for a second public trial. Demanding accountability. Flooding the court with petitions. Screaming for justice. Then, my phone rang. It was Lena. Evan, what the hell is wrong with you? You really want to destroy me, don't you? I already paid you over 200 grand. Isn't that enough? Why are you being so petty? I let out a low laugh. Petty? You're calling me petty? You took the house too. What else do you want? I paid most of the mortgage on that place. I scoffed. With whose money, Lena? You think I don't know? That was my money from my business, you bastard. Don't you dare try and claim it. I could only shake my head. Right. So let me ask you this. The $1.4 million I earned getting eaten alive overseas for 6 years. That's whose money again? She had no comeback. Instead, she lost it. You're dreaming if you think you can win this. Damien's a damn lawyer. You'll never get a single cent out of him. And then, click. She hung up. Too bad for her. I'd been recording the entire call from the second it started. That last arrogant outburst? Got it. Loud and clear. I didn't even need to edit a thing. I uploaded the full audio file as is. Let the world hear the real Lena. Let them hear exactly what I've dealt with. No filters. No sympathy. Just the truth. The comments section exploded. This woman's unbelievable. Studied law, huh? Not like she wrote the damn laws. Even if she did, she still wouldn't have the right to act this entitled. She's got some nerve, took the guy's money for years and now turns around and calls him petty? Girl, give the damn money back. Oh, now her income is somehow off limits. But when she was blowing his paycheck on her little boy toy, that was fine. So Damien is the lover? I knew there was something off about that guy. Always looked too polished to be honest. I saw someone post his business profile. The guy's entire firm was bankrolled by the defendant. Every cent. He's been raking it in all these years off someone else's back. $1.5 million is generous, he should be coughing up at least $2 million. Maybe that'll wipe the smirk off his face. I scrolled through the comments slowly, savoring every word. No doubt Lena was reading them too. Probably screaming into her phone somewhere, throwing things. But this time, she didn't dare call me. Not once. Not until the trial. She was probably terrified I'd record her again. Smart. I didn't show up in court either. Mr. Monroe had set me up with a new attorney. Clean, quiet, and ruthless. The final ruling? No, the judge didn't grant me the full $1.5 million. But whether it was out of sympathy for what I'd been through, or simply public pressure from the media frenzy, Lena and Damien were ordered to pay $1.2 million. Damien, of course, lost his mind. Word is he's planning an appeal. Can't really blame him. That kind of payout would break most people. He probably still thinks he earned every penny. That he was entitled to it. That my money made him who he is, so why should he have to give any of it back? Unfortunately for him, I didn't come to play games. I filed to freeze his assets immediately. With the media all over this mess, no one's hiring him. No clients. No income. His little empire? Drying up. The longer this drags out, the harder it'll be to collect. So, I figured, better cut deep and fast. Let him bleed now, not later. As for Lena? The silence didn't last. The text started first. Then the calls. Voicemails, back to back. She was demanding to meet. Face to face, she said. We need to talk like adults. I didn't respond. Not once. I wasn't about to let her drag me into the dirt again. That morning at work, everything felt normal. I stepped into the elevator from the underground garage, coffee in hand, already reviewing emails in my head. The elevator stopped at the first floor. When the doors slid open, I froze. Lena stood there. Red-eyed. Tear-streaked. And Nina was with her. They must have been waiting there for who knows how long. The second they saw me, they rushed in, grabbing my arms, clinging to me like I owed them oxygen. Lena's voice cracked, frantic. How could you be so heartless? Divorce us and now you're trying to ruin us completely? You took the money, what are we supposed to live on now? She clawed at my shirt like a woman possessed. Have some decency, Evan. You can't just walk away like this. Her sobs echoed inside the small metal box, the walls amplifying every pathetic gasp. Theatrics, again. Same old script. But this time, no one clapped. The whole office knew the truth. Her truth. The real one. Security was called almost immediately. Someone even dialed the cops. The sirens got louder as they approached the building. Through it all, Lena's shrieks, Nina's whimpers, I said nothing. Not a word. I just stood there, arms folded, staring coldly as they were escorted out in handcuffs and shame. Funny, isn't it? Years ago, I'd stood just like that in the middle of a crowd, eyes searching, hoping Lena would defend me. Say something. But instead, she poured gasoline on the fire. She let me burn for the sake of her lies. So now? This was just balance. Karma's slow exhale. Her screaming echoed through the lobby, up the marble stairwell, then faded beneath the sound of a slamming police car door. They were gone. And honestly? 6 years of deceit was already more than enough. 6 months passed. Damien's appeal got thrown out. The court ordered full payment, $1.2 million. The money landed in my account soon after. Word was, his law practice shut down. He disappeared with whatever scraps he had left. Lena? The internet did what it does best. Her store was bombarded with angry reviews and refund demands. The place shut down. Most of her live stream donations were seized and returned. Nina was pulled out of school. Kids whispered. Parents complained. Eventually, they left town. Vanished. But even that wouldn't save them. The internet never forgets. No matter where they go, their story will follow. And me? I finally let it all go. Their fate, their misery, none of it was mine to carry anymore. I had a life to rebuild. A long road ahead. And for the first time in years, it was mine alone.